That's a good sign. It means they're trying to dislodge whatever is choking them. Let her continue to cough until the object is dislodged. If a choking baby is not crying, not breathing, or not coughing, that is a medical emergency and you must act quickly. If the child is with a parent, get permission from them to help their child. Observe to see if you can see what is causing the child to choke. If you cannot see anything, begin resuscitation immediately. Support the head of the child with one hand, and supporting the child on your forearm, place the child on your thigh, head down. It's important that the child be head down so that as you perform the back blows, if the object is dislodged, gravity and your back blows help the object to be dislodged and it falls right onto the floor instead of back into the child's throat. So 5 quick back blows between the shoulder blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the object is not dislodged and the child still cannot cry or breathe, put the child face up, head down, supported by your leg or your thigh, and then do the chest thrust. With the adults, we did the abdominal thrust. With the child, also an abdominal thrust. But with an infant, it's chest thrust. 2 fingers. Locate the baby's nipples and draw an imaginary line between the 2 nipples. Midway between that, on that line, in the middle of the breastbone, is where you want to perform the chest thrust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If the object is still not dislodged, have a quick look to make sure there's nothing in the baby's mouth in case the object came out. And then repeat the sequence again. Support the baby's head, face down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing is out. Back up. Check if there's anything in there that's dislodged. If nothing, head down, supported by your thigh, and 2 fingers, 5 chest thrusts. Make sure you're thrusting at least ½ inch to 1 inch down. You really want to try and push so that the object gets dislodged. And you continue to repeat the sequence until either the object is dislodged or the baby is crying and coughing, which means baby's better, or the baby is unconscious. If the baby is unconscious, check for breathing and circulation, and if those are absent, begin CPR. If your child or a coworker or a neighbor sustains a wound that is bleeding profusely, there are some basic things that you must do, and I will demonstrate that right now. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that there is no foreign object, such as a stone or a piece of glass or a pebble inside the wound. And once you note that there's nothing inside the wound, put pressure on it immediately. When you put pressure on it, it's not 2 fingers or grabbing it like this. What you want to do is with the flat of your fingers or with the heel of your hand, you put pressure on it. And the point of putting pressure on it is to stop the bleeding. And you keep pressure on it for as long as it takes for the wound to stop bleeding. It's important that you elevate the part of the body that's bleeding. So don't leave the person's arm hanging down, because then gravity makes the blood pump out further there. So you want to lift the arm up. So put it on a table like that, and then that's what you want to do. Okay? So you don't want it to be here where it's lower than her heart or hanging down. You put the pressure on and you do something like that. So you elevate the limb and you keep the pressure on for as long as it takes. If you check it and it's still bleeding, as you can see, there's still blood, you can add more gauze pads to stop the pressure. Now, as you can see, I'm using gauze pads here. I'm a doctor, I have these things lying around. But you're at home and you don't have anything like a gauze pad. A clean cloth will do. Any clean cloth will do. And you can use that as pressure. Keep the pressure on until the bleeding stops. If you find that your arm gets tired of putting the pressure on, if you happen to have a bandage, you can use that. What you do is you wrap it very tightly around the wound to keep the pressure sustained. And that's all you need to do. And then get the patient to the hospital as quickly as possible so that stitches can be placed if necessary. So you're standing at the bus stop in a queue in the sun for what seems like hours, when suddenly in front of you a woman slumps over and appears to be unconscious. What do? Watch. The first thing is to look at the environment to make sure it's safe. And you go, ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay? She doesn't appear to be responding, but her chest is rising up and down, so she's clearly breathing, and her heart is okay because she's breathing. And so at this point, there's really nothing for you to do. It seems as though she has simply fainted from standing in the sun for too long. And so what we're going to do to help her is just to help get the blood back into her brain. And to do this, we elevate her feet. We raise her feet higher than the rest of her. If there's a chair or a stool nearby, or a piece of wood, something you can place her feet on to elevate them. Or maybe another person standing in queue can be kind enough to kneel down and you put her feet up on that person's knees. And at this point, you simply leave her. You don't need to pour water on her. You don't need to pinch her or slap her or fan her. This position will get the blood going back into her brain, and in a few minutes, she'll regain consciousness. Great job. You saved another life. So you come upon somebody who's unconscious, or you're at home with a family member and they suddenly slump over and they're unconscious. What do? The first thing is you make sure that the environment is safe, because if it happens somewhere where if it was the result of an accident or something, it may not be safe enough for you to go and attempt to do rescue CPR for the person. And so you assess the environment, make sure it's safe,